Okay, hi everyone. I see people trickling in, so we're going to give it a few more seconds before we start. I'm just watching people kind of enter the session. So we'll give it a few seconds and then we'll kick everything off. Okay, so I think we're going to kick it off, Jason and Adam, if you're ready. But to the audience, hi everyone. Thanks so much for joining us for our webinar this afternoon. I'm Amy Martin, Chief Marketing Officer at TRG, and I'll be moderating today's webinar, From Fulfillment to Frontlines, Redefining Retail Operations and Customer Service. So today we're going to cover how technology optimizes retail operations from the distribution centers to in-store experiences and learn strategies to reduce downtime, boost efficiency, and enhance customer satisfaction. So just kind of notes on what we're going to be discussing today. We're going to explore which endpoints and technologies are being used to optimize inventory management and customer experience, enhance in-store workforce productivity by empowering staff and facilitating growth, ways to streamline customer experience with seamless interactions and personalized services, and how businesses can drive resiliencies across retail operations. So before we dive in, there's going to be a couple of housekeeping items. We want this session to be completely interactive. So please use the chat box to submit any questions that come to mind. I should be able to see them pop up. We'll do our best to answer as many as we can. And if we don't get to yours directly, we will send a follow-up answer to you afterward. After the discussion, we'll have a survey available for you to provide any feedback or suggestions for future webinar topics. And finally, keep an eye out for emails from TRG after the webinar. We'll be sending a recording of it along with other educational resources related to real-time locations and solutions. So I think I caught everything there. So now let's go into introducing our panelists. So Adam, do you mind kicking it off?
Yeah, thanks, Amy. So I'm Adam Jadich. I'm our Director of Retail and Hospitality Solutions here at TRG. I've been with TRG coming up on 16 years now, running our retail and hospitality sales group for about 6. So I helped launch the Retail Managed Services solutions about 6 years ago, and now lead that sales team focused in that area. But it's really been exciting, especially over the last 5 years, seeing the evolution of retail technology. It's been a lot of fun to be a part of. There's no doubt about that, and especially coming into this peak season with all the positive momentum that we're seeing with all the retailers. So, very excited to be here today to have this conversation with Jason, and I appreciate everybody joining today too. So, thanks so much, Amy.
Great, thanks, Adam. Jason, you want to introduce yourself?
Thanks, Amy. Hey, everyone. I'm Jason Collishaw. I'm the head of enterprise sales for Google Devices and Services. So essentially, that's all of Google's first-party hardware. That includes our Pixel platform on smartphones and some of our tablet portfolio and some future generation products that we might bring to market that are first-party hardware. In the industry for about 25 years, anywhere from leading IoT sales teams to enterprise technical teams, as well as solutions teams. Our team focuses very heavily on the retail segment. We have several folks that are leads in that segment. Really excited to talk to you all today.
Awesome. Okay, so I think we're set now. Okay, so I'm going to jump in to the actual questions and answers. So I'm going to put you both on the spot, and I'll tee it up for which one of you to go first. But I'm going to jump in with, when we think about retail, the retail space, what endpoints and technologies are currently available that efficiently support inventory management and enhance customer experiences? So Jason, if you wouldn't mind taking the lead on that one, and I have a follow-up that I'll probably ping over to Adam.
Yeah, thanks, Amy. I've had the privilege of working in the retail segment for a while and doing a lot of, I would say, store visits, shoulder walks with a variety of large retailers, all the way down to small retailers and everything in between. And we see a lot of the traditional products still being used in the marketplace. You can think of those purpose-built scanners that are, very rugged, a little bit big, that are shared devices that are used across the retail footprint, both back of house and front of house, to just do what their task is, which is to count inventory throughout the day. But we see a lot of other things starting to make their way into the retail space, a little bit slower in some cases, but we now see traditional smartphones and tablets being used in the retail space, mainly by managers to go about their tasks throughout the day. But we also are seeing larger footprint things like digital labels, RFID tags now becoming more prevalent and popular, to BLE tags, all in the spirit of capturing more accurate inventory counts or product placement, planogram, etc. So we're seeing a shift, I think, in the space right now.
That makes sense. Adam, do you have anything to add, kind of building off of what Jason said?
Yeah, thanks, Amy. Yeah, but I think Jason's spot on with what he's seeing out there, right? We do a lot of store visits, walk a lot of stores in the infrastructure, both in the store side, but also on the distribution center side, right? And mobile technology still is king with scanning, tracking assets, tracking where your product is, how much product you have out there from an inventory management perspective. But absolutely, we're seeing more and more interest, coming up with the RFID solutions, right? As that omni-channel experience becomes more and more important for the customer journey, right? And having visibility as to where your inventory is across all platforms, whether it's e-commerce, in the store you're currently in, or others, right? Having that tracking and visibility quickly is as important as it ever has been. So we see more RFID tech coming into the retail space pretty rapidly right now.
Okay, so all that makes sense, is fascinating. And this is probably on my mind because we're heading into NRF, right? The largest retail conference coming up in January, where you kind of see things that blow your mind there, right? So I know you both talked a little bit about what's in the market today. Where do you see the future of this technology heading? I know that can get a little scary and a little futuristic, but would love to pick your brains on it. Jason, do you want to kick that one off again?
Yeah, I'd love to. I mean, for me, I can see a world where AI is powering more of the associate and the customer experience and engagement. Today, it's still a lot of manual scheduling, a lot of manual processes. You can start to see where AI can begin to automate some of those, kind of directing associates throughout their day, leveraging other technologies like AR that can speed up things like cycle counts, out of stock placements, things of that nature. So when you combine all of these things together, you could see a very integrated and more connected ecosystem, I think, that leverages more of the AI underpinnings in the future. To, again, it's all in the spirit of making a more engaging, consumer experience, but also ultimately it's a better experience for the associates as well.
That makes sense. And I know AI is at the kind of forefront of everybody's mind kind of constantly at this point. Adam, anything to add there?
Yeah, no, I agree. You're going to see AI and automation everywhere in the future, right? Especially coming into this NRF in January. But I think it all really gears around having that seamless omni-channel experience, right? And making it faster and easier to have visibility, and essentially servicing the customers in a better way, right? And on top of that, giving your associates or your employees more power or more knowledge to be able to service your customers, right? Which at the end of the day, that's the most important thing to every retailer out there, is how am I servicing my customers quicker, faster, better, in the manner in which they want to procure, their items and everything. So that's the big things that I see is more technology that's essentially going to allow the associates to be more powerful with the service they're able to offer with the customers.
Okay, that's great. And this might piggyback a little bit off of this, but I think we'd all agree that retailers should be exploring updated technology to meet their demands, right? That's a theme kind of constantly swirling. But what features should a retailer really be looking into to enhance their employee productivity and growth of overall retail operations? So Adam, you were talking about that, so you can take this, but where should they be exploring?
Yeah, so I think empowering your employees, as I just mentioned, is a big thing, right? Customers demand better experiences, a quicker, faster checkout process. So the first thing to start there is really looking at your point of sale system that's out there, right? What is your speed of transaction, and what does your customer checkout process look like? We've seen the customer checkout shrinking over the years, right? Becoming more mobile, even, right? So giving a store associates the ability to have a mobile payment device that they can check out customers in certain areas of the store as opposed to one specific static location. So exploring really what that point of sale checkout and that system is. And also, the add-ons that you're able to put on top of it, which really include and encompass the inventory management software, right? How much visibility do you have not over your current environment within your current store, but across the entire landscape of the store architecture, right? So whether it's pulling from a DC and having it shipped to a direct to consumer, whether it's putting it in a curbside pickup order for a store that's maybe 15, 20 miles away, having the ability to be able to pivot and be flexible for what a customer wants to purchase or how they want to purchase, really drives a lot of value with where customers are going to shop now and in the future. So I think those are some of the big things to really look at right now. And on top of that, when we're talking about employee experiences, right, and employee satisfaction, the different collaboration tools that are out there too, right? AI is poking its head into every application out there, but one of which is being AI chatbots, which allows an employee to be able to service a customer better by being more intelligent, by being able to ask an AI chat box questions and get answers in real time and be able to feed that to a customer, which again makes everybody smarter and everybody able to service a customer the way they want to. So, but I think customers are demanding a better experience, and again, it really starts with having that whole system that supports it.
And I think that's really interesting, right? As a consumer, I think of the chatbot as a way to get immediate, quick answers from where I'm shopping. But I think that's super interesting that now more and more stores are using those for their employees to get really quick answers as well to service in real time. That's fascinating. So, Jason, anything to add on top of that?
Yeah, I think for me, what's really interesting is when we go and we visit stores and we talk to associates, the thing that you'll find most often is that they have a more powerful phone personally in their pocket than what the company is giving them to perform the tasks. And that is eye-opening, I think, for so many people. I don't know that it's so eye-opening for us when we look at technology. Sometimes that's 5 and 6 years old that stores are using today. And the associates are frustrated with the experience, right? They want to be able to do these, next gen technology experiences. They want to meet customers where they want to be met in the process of purchasing, whether that's like an e-com to pick up in store, or whether that's just helping somebody find the right product, the right furniture while they're in a store. They just can't do that with technology that's out of date. So what's, I think, super important, what we see retailers looking at and what their employees really wanting is not a utilitarian device any longer. They want a device that's multi-purpose, that can be as powerful as the employee's phone that's in their pocket, but for their work and their everyday.
Yeah, that makes all the sense in the world. So, okay, so thank you for that. I do think it looks like we have an audience question. So want to get it up. What are some real world examples of retailers using AI and endpoint solutions to optimize their operations across the supply chain? So Jason, do you want to take the lead on this one that just came in?
Yeah, I mean, we've seen a lot of different AI, AR experiences being used within retailers today. So just take the traditional smartphone and imagine kind of walking down an aisle and digitizing the entire product portfolio and footprint using a Pixel's smartphone camera, and doing that in a matter of seconds rather than what might take days or weeks to do today in a very manual nature. That's the type of technology we're seeing retailers adopt, which is kind of a combination of AI and AR. leveraging next gen hardware, right? And that's kind of what I was alluding to earlier, is that you can't do that on hardware that's 6 years old or that's very utilitarian. You need next gen technology that's built for AI models and that's built for AR. So that's some of what we see, but we see other things too, where it's solutions that are using AI and a combination of great software to help shoppers find product in a store using the electromagnetic field of the earth to know where they are indoors, right? Without the need of like Wi-Fi wayfinding and things of that nature. So using that in combination of AI to also help pickers or online shoppers who might come to the store find product more quickly so they can serve more customers in a day. Those are some great examples of what we're seeing right now in retailers across the board.
That's fascinating. Adam, anything to chime in, or we can move on?
Yeah, we've got a lot of customers that are obviously getting into the AI applications within their own store environments. One that comes to mind, we got a very large grocery chain. They use AI to track purchasing patterns and optimizing kind of product placement, both regionally and within specific markets and segments within a store. We've mentioned the creating an environment where a store associates become smarter because of it, right? So whether it's the chat bots or being able to ask a question and get a quick answer, both from a consumer side, right, and also the store associate side. So both have been proven to be successful really in that environment. And really the biggest one that I see out there across a number of customers we work with is inventory management, right, and tracking trends of replenishment of inventory into stores, whether it's by product line or region, just to ensure that you've got the right amount of product in the right stores and the right locations across the landscape of the environment.
Makes sense. I guess the monitoring of the trends explains why my grocery store's layout changes so often. So that makes me feel better. I'm often lost and confused by why it keeps changing, but that makes sense. So, okay. So I think we all agree that implementing new technology can feel quite daunting, even though it should be straightforward and feel like weight has been lifted off the shoulders, especially as we think about empowering, employees. So, Adam, could you share any tips or advice for organizations considering a restructuring of their retail operations? Maybe even specifically, what should they keep in mind when evaluating endpoint solutions like store associate devices, retail checkout systems, inventory management tools that you've talked about?
Yeah, restructuring retail operations, it's a critical move, right? Retail has changed drastically in the last 5 years, and it's going to change just as drastic in the next five, right? So choosing the right endpoint solutions is really critical just to put your business ahead. The first thing I'd say is number one, you got to understand the business needs and the business goals, and on top of that, your customers, right? Understand how your customers want to purchase, what your market's going to dictate, and how you need to service your customers, and really what they're demanding. Really is what it really boils down to more than anything. So again, defining objectives, prioritizing the features that are really going to get you to where you need to be, are some of the key things you should be thinking about right off the get-go. Again, we talk about optimizing that customer experience and that customer journey, right? And then from there, let's figure out the solutions and the tools that both your associates and the infrastructure needs in order to be able to accomplish that, right? So whether it's creating an environment where you have a smart device in every employee's hands to be able to service them in different ways, or whether it's having kiosk and self checkout because your customers want to be on the go. They want to get into a store and then get the heck out of there, right, at their own leisure. So a number of different things can be pushed into that, right? But again, it still goes back to creating that optimal omni-channels flow of the information, right? So inventory management, having the ability to be able to purchase how I want to, when I want to, and everything. But probably the most important piece of the whole thing is once you do embark into a journey to put new solutions into your retail environment, not only do you have to pick the solution and the products and the hardware they're going to get you there, but you also got to select the vendors that are going to help you along the way, right? Vendor selection, whether it being from a consulting perspective, or from a bandwidth perspective from your own IT team, right? So making sure that they've got a great reputation, right? That they're experts within the retail space and have a good proven track record. And it's somebody who's going to support you, before, during, and after the implementation, to make sure that it's easy on your team and make sure that things go well and smooth throughout that whole process. So I think those are the big things that I'd recommend looking at.
Okay. Jason, you want to add anything in there?
Yeah, Adam did a great job, I think, summarizing all of that. But I think for me, the most important part is like choosing the right partner, which I think is where Adam was kind of wrapping up there at the end, which is you need to make sure that you have a partner that's invested in the business, that wants to take the time to understand what is going on with your business, where you want to go. But I think the other big part of it where we've had the most success is when we actually get time to talk to the associates, not necessarily the folks that are, making the ultimate decision in like IT or finance, but the people who have to live the retail experience every day and understanding what are the challenges, what are the friction points that they see with a consumer interaction, what slows them down, and then coming back and working with amazing partners like you all, as well as some of the partner ecosystems that we have on the hardware and OEM side to create really amazing solutions that can take down those barriers and ultimately make for a better customer and employee experience.
Makes complete sense. Okay. And it looks like we have another question from the audience. Let me click into it. Okay. How can retailers effectively safeguard sensitive customer information? I know this is the top of everybody's mind. And Google, I think, is probably the best to start that conversation. So Jason, I'm going to let you take it.
Yeah, so I'll take this from a device and a management point of view. And I think Adam's probably got some great ideas on how you can layer on top consulting services and some other threat detection services that you all offer here. For us, our devices and our ecosystem is built on Android and Android Enterprise in particular, which is a set of APIs that allow you to control and manage the devices. And you can make them as open or as locked down as you would like for the associate. And that also means that the data that's contained on that device. So for example, you would take those APIs and you would leverage an EMM or an MDM to manage all of those APIs that are available, and then create a security policy that enforces a password on the device, that locks it after a period of inactivity, that restricts certain apps that might create vulnerabilities from ever being downloaded onto the device, to create a really great and secure experience. The other piece that you can do is within Android, you should actually create two different types of profiles, where if you want to kind of shift to where the employees use this for concierge type apps, where maybe you want them to be able to go onto Google and do a competitor product lookup, but maybe you don't want that app to sit in the same container as the corporate data where sensitive customer data is. You can create two distinct containers on our devices that separate that kind of work and personal data. So there's multiple management modes that allow you to do that. And then I'd say the last piece is move more of the data to the cloud. And obviously that makes a ton of sense coming from us on the Google side, but the less you have on the device, the more secure posture you inherently create. So we've seen most retailers already do that, and less sits on the device, which inherently creates a much more secure posture. Adam, what additional thoughts did you have on it?
Yeah, no, I agree with everything you said there, Jason, and just some of the other things that we see. Obviously, retailers handle, a very large amount of sensitive, data and everything. So keeping those devices secure is of the utmost important for a retailer, right? The first thing I always recommend is make sure that you're up to date on your PCI compliance, right? Everything from how your environment is protected, from a security standpoint, physical security standpoint, and your network security, even down to your payment devices, making sure that you're up to speed on the latest point-to-point encryption standards that are out there from a payment perspective, and also using some of the newer technologies that are out there for the contactless and everything. But especially as devices become more and more mobile, in a retail environment, right? Those are just as vulnerable as any to become a threat. So we've starting to see a lot of organizations really start investing in some of the mobile threat detection software platforms that are out there right now. So that is basically putting network security software onto devices with iOS or Android operating systems that are in the environment, right? To keep those devices safe out there. It also goes to the MDM that Jason had mentioned, right? Having a good security and a good team to lock down devices to make sure that employees and customers, right, if someone got their hands on one, wouldn't be able to get anywhere except what's an approved application or website from the retailer that's out there. So having things locked down and good company policy on those devices is really of the utmost important that's out there. But also on top of that, making sure that you've got either in-house or a good partner to be able to do penetration testing. You're keeping all your patches up to date, and patch management protocol is where it needs to be, and making sure that all that threat detection is being monitored either again with your internal staff or with a good partner like TRG and version 6. So yeah, I think those are some of the things that we've seen, in the space.
Now that's all crystal clear. I think whenever we're talking about this internally, I know that we always say you got to think of it in 3 layers, right? You have to secure your devices, secure your apps, and secure your people. And I think you kind of all touched upon that and hopefully did a great job at easing some worries and concerns customers may have regarding their own data privacy, which I know is kind of a hot topic daily in the news. So it's a valid question and concern to have. So I'm looking at the time and want to be respectful. So before we wrap up, I wanted to sneak in one more question for you guys. Could you both quickly share where you think the future of retail operations is heading? I know we talked a little bit about technologies, but where kind of retail operations is heading, or any general insights you want to share before we wrap things up. So Jason, I'll let you take the lead on it.
Yeah, so for me, I mean, over time, we obviously see the device form factor continue to evolve, right? We see, smartphones still for the near term or the foreseeable future being the central gateway to really amazing AI and AR experiences. In the future, though, you can see a world where wearables would become even more important, whether that's a wearable on your wrist or a wearable on your eyes or what have you. And Google continues to make investments in all of those spaces. But in particular, on the smartphone side, we continue to make investments on delivering really great AI and AR experiences today. And Pixel in particular helps us deliver that. Ultimately, I think we see a world where retailers move away from a shared device scenario to where it becomes more of a one-to-one device. And this device becomes kind of the central conduit for the employee to do everything on the device, from their work tasks throughout the day, navigating within a store, finding the product they need to, managing inventory, but then also, more importantly, managing their own well-being, their employee benefits, their perks, their clock in, their clock out. So you can see a world where we see a shift where this kind of shared device that's there today, that's more utilitarian, goes to this one-to-one multi-purpose device delivering really great AI and AR experiences for both the employee and the customers.
Yep, absolutely. Adam, you want to wrap it up with final thoughts?
Yeah, thanks, Amy. Yeah, but I think the future of retail, right, is really shaped obviously by the emergence of technology and a lot of the shifting consumer behaviors and obviously everything we've seen over the last 5 years. It's really driving a lot of those changes. But I really see AI and automation everywhere, right? From the supply chain side to the delivery side to the route optimization, which ultimately leads to better customer experience. The more knowledge they have, the more knowledge they're able to apply. And then on top of that, cost savings for the retailers themselves. So I do think that there's been continued investment into to that front. What is a store going to look like? In my opinion, I think Jason's spot on. Technology is continuing to get smaller, right? You're going to have less technology in stores. It's going to do more to assist an associate. At the checkout, I do believe that's going to continue to get small too, where it's potentially just autonomous with cashierless in certain areas in certain places, right? It gives people the ability just to buy like an Amazon Go store, pick up and then walk out. So I do see that continuing to shrink, and with that omni-channel journey, I do see that becoming much more efficient over the years, right? Where some unknown inventories are going to get much better with accuracy counts, knowing where things are at and the systems in order to be able to deliver that. They have gotten a lot better. I do think that's going to be um, much improved over the next 5 years too, because it's really what the consumers are going to really be driving to. I do see robotics being introduced more so into the warehouse operation side, along with even in store, whether it's checking shelves to see what's out of stock, or bot assistance, or all kinds of different things that may apply in there. But the more you can utilize that automation and autonomous type activities, the more efficient a lot of these retailers are going to be when it's all said and done. But I think the future is bright for retail, right? I think that people love going into stores. They love touching and feeling, and being a part of the interactive journey in the experience of shopping, which is, I think, why the retailers have had so much success in getting customers back into stores, and shopping in stores. So I'm excited to see where it's going to be in the next 5 years. I feel fortunate to be a part of it. There's no doubt about that. So I thank you.
No, I appreciate it. I mean, I think the one thing we can all agree on is that the retail space is not going to be boring anytime soon, which is exciting. So, okay, so thank you again to both Adam and Jason for sharing your thoughts. I think everyone who joined us this afternoon probably learned a ton, as did I. So if we couldn't get to your questions during this session, we'll follow up. It looks like we have about 5 in the queue, so we'll make sure we get to those shortly after. We'll be sending out an email after the session with a recording from today, along with a few other resources and that survey that I talked about in the beginning. So please let us know your thoughts. You can make our webinars better and give us great ideas on how to continue to inform. If you enjoyed this session, make sure to go follow TRG and Google on LinkedIn for more content and updates on upcoming webinars. And thanks for your time today. For everybody on, enjoy the rest of your day, and we'll be back soon.